Hey guys, it's Ashley, and today we're going to be talking about The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas, which I am super excited about because this book talk is very long overdue. I'm sorry, I'm not very good with scheduling. But I'm really happy to be finally getting back into it, and let's just get started. So even though a majority of you probably already know this, I'm just gonna state it anyways. The Assassin's Blade is the prequel collection of novellas that come before Throne of Glass, which is the first book in the series. So honestly, my recommendation, if you have not picked up any of this series before and you want to, definitely start with this one. If I had to go back and decide what order I was going to read the books in, I would 100% read this first. Not that it was a better book, but just because you appreciate the mentions of Sam so much more in The Throne of Glass, and you understand Selena's character more if you have read this book. Overall, I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. If I had loved each story equally, then it would have been 5 stars, but there were some I liked more than others, and we'll get into that later. I love that a lot of the stories in this book had some really cool action, and we got to see Selena in action like we normally don't do in Throne of Glass, which is the only book in the series that I've read other than this one, because in Throne of Glass, you know, she's going into those games and the challenge and the castle and the stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. So at least here we get to see her in action in her living everyday state. And we also got to see a lot more of her character and how she's developed before Throne of Glass even started. Because we all know that Selena Sardathian is this cocky badass, I can kill you with one hand tied behind my back and a blindfold on kind of girl. But we also know that she has this secret soft side that she doesn't let anybody see except for her close companions, which she doesn't really have any, so we rarely ever get to see that. When we are reading Throne of Glass, we don't get much of anything about Arobin Hamel, you know, like the king of the assassins, and I was really happy. As much as I hate him, I was really happy that we got to learn more about him so that I could understand why I hate him as much as I do. Does that make sense? Because I really hate him. But I'm really glad that we got to see some more of him so that I have a reason behind my hatred. There are lots of reasons. But I'm also kind of scared that he'll come back in the story because I really don't want him back. I really hope that by the time that he does come back, if he does, that Selena has grown enough as a person and has gone through enough shit in her life that she doesn't have to deal with this and she can just kick his butt right out of the story and we never have to see him again. So overall, I really enjoyed this story and I definitely recommend reading it before Throne of Glass if you have the chance. So that's all I'm gonna be able to say for the non-spoilery section because so many of you have already read this book and there's so much I want to say. Bye! The people who haven't read this book yet. So the first story is The Assassin and the Pirate Lord. This one, I don't think that I liked as much. If I had to rank it, I think it would be number 3. So a couple of the things that I loved. I absolutely loved that Sam and Selena hated each other when we first start this book. Oh my god. Because when we had been in Throne of Glass, I had just kind of assumed that they had been a thing for a really long time, you know? Sam was the only one that she had ever loved, and no, that didn't happen. They hated each other, and I loved that. I loved their conflicting arguments and everything, and that they were sent on the mission together when Arobin knows that they hate each other. I loved it. Another thing that I really loved was because this story with the Pirate Lord was all about, you know, the slave trade. Selena stands up for what she believes in and she doesn't let her morals get stomped all over, you know? She doesn't believe that people need to be slaves. She believes that that's absolutely wrong, like a normal person should. So she stands up for what she believes in and she goes after it to fight and bring it down. And I absolutely loved that. Something that I was kind of iffy about was that the fact that Selena had to wear a mask and a gigantic overcoat and cloak in 170-degree weather. I get you have to protect your identity, but I mean, you have got to be dying in that cloak, Selena. Dying. And then that moment where Sam hinted that he was a little bit jealous when Selena was mentioning stuff about Rolf, you know? My heart. In the end, oh my god, when you think that Sam is dead, I couldn't handle it. I'd only met him for 60 pages and already I was just so attached that I couldn't let him go, and just to imagine him dead and dying was just awful, and I don't want that to happen at all, but I know it's going to happen because you know that in Throne of Glass he's already dead, and I just So the next story is The Assassin and the Healer, and this one I actually placed as the lowest on my list. This is number 5 out of 5. It was not my favorite. I don't really know why. I just didn't enjoy it as I did the other ones. There wasn't a whole lot of action, and we were focused mostly on a different new character that I didn't really like that much compared to Selena. So when we find out that Arobin has beat the absolute crap out of her for disrupting his slave trade agreements with Rolf in the first story, like, oh my god, Arobin, I thought you were nice, I thought you were gonna be okay, thought you were gonna be a good mentor, but no, this just draws the line right here. So like I said before, we do follow this new character, Irene, a little more than we do Selena, and I didn't really like her as much as I do Selena. Obviously Selena's a badass, and not everybody can be as badass as she can, but I felt bad for Irene more than I liked her. She, you know, came from a healer family, so she is technically a healer, but she was trying to travel to somewhere and she lost all of her money, and now she's stuck in this crappy situation with this asshole guy who doesn't treat her right and never lets her have a day off of work. I mean, overall the story was really great, and I loved that Selena was teaching her how to fight, and I really loved that we saw a little bit of Selena's, you know, like caring, gracious side when she left Irene the brooch that Arobin had given her. We're always so used to this cocky, arrogant, like, person, but then you get these little glimpses of this other side and you're like, why can't you do more of that stuff, you know? So the third story is The Assassin in the Desert, and this one placed on number 4 on my list out of 5. Honestly, as soon as we were introduced to Ansel, I knew that something was going to be up with her. I didn't like her from the beginning. I always suspected her of having some kind of ulterior motive that nobody would have suspected until the very end, and you know what? I was right, and I feel good about that. I don't know what it was. I don't know whether it was just the way that she spoke and she acted, or, you know, it was probably like her scary armor, her wolf armor. Yeah, that's probably what it was. And the moments where she would talk to Ilias, you could see that he kind of wanted a relationship maybe, and that something could have been blooming there. I just could not stop thinking of Sam, and it made me really angry, and I just wanted to say, Selena, look at what you have waiting for you at home. Just wait. Just be patient, girl. Just be patient. And speaking of Sam, when she remembered when Arobin was beating the crap out of her, like when she remembered what Sam had said, when Sam was like, I'll kill you, stop it, I'll kill you, you know? Oh my god. That was one of the best parts of the entire, like, collection of stories all together. I loved that part so much. I honestly had not expected that much raw emotion out of Sam in that time of panic. And finally, the very, very end, obviously when Ansel betrays them all, but when the Mute Master actually speaks to her, that part was really, like, touching, and I loved it. We're getting down to the top 2 stories now. So the next one is The Assassin in the Underworld, and I actually placed this one a second on my list. When Selena first returns to the, like, Assassin's Guild or whatever, Arobin is apologizing to her, and he's trying to make it up to her with all of these lavish gifts and these wealthy things, and she's just, like, you can tell that she wants to give in, but at the same time she's like, no, really, like, look at what you did. Like, do you really understand what you did, honestly? At that point, I still did not trust Arobin. I knew that he had some ulterior motive behind it the entire time. He's just another Ansel. And as I have stated time and time again in this video by now, I love Sam, but I wanted to strangle him with that first scene when he was with Lysandra and Selena got, like, the wrong impression. I just wanted to strangle him because all he had to do was say, no, girl, I'm not with her. I'm here to help with her bidding, and there's nothing going on, and I love you. But no, he didn't. He didn't say that. He had to go and make things complicated. Once again, Arobin was lying to Selena about the slave trade papers and who he's giving them to and what she's gonna do with them, and he's betrayed her again, and why do you still trust him, Selena? Please, tell me. Please. In that moment where she takes all of the gold that the Mute Master gave her for saving his life and his guild, and she goes and she lays it all in front of Arobin and she says, here, this is the price for my freedom, I'm paying it. And also, you're gonna let Sam go too, because, you know, I love him and he's not staying here with a crazy guy like you. Oh my god, Selena, finally, you're standing up to Arobin, you're standing up to this asshole. Thank you. I have been waiting for this, like, the entire book, except for like the very first story when she stood up against him because her morals were being like stomped all over. But since then, nothing's really happened, so thank you, Selena. Oh, and then before I forget, that scene when she's in the sewers, she got caught for spying, and they took her down to the sewers, and they were going to torture her, but instead, they were just gonna like let the water come and drown her, and she finally finds an opening, but she can't get it open, and then she's screaming at the top, and she's like so afraid that she's gonna die, and she's just accepted it, and she is so, so afraid, and then all of a sudden, Sam shows up. Oh. That was like one of the best scenes in the book. Like one of the best scenes. We got to see Selena at her rawest. We got to see her at her most emotional. And I loved it so, so much. And finally, we're getting to the last story, which is The Assassin in the Empire, and this was definitely my favorite. This placed number 1 on the list. It was my favorite, despite what happens to Sam at the end, and despite how much I love him and how much that was heartbreaking to me. This was my favorite story. The story opens, and Selena is curled up in a prison cart, and she's being carted off to Endovier, which is where we know that she starts off in the Throne of Glass. And automatically, I'm thinking, crap. So this is the story of how she got to Endovier. And it all just kind of sinks in, and I'm just like, I am not ready for this. I hate the fact that Sam and Selena, they want to get away from the Assassin's Guild. They don't want to be a part of Arobyn's games and his plans anymore, but they can't because they don't have any more money. And that is just so devastating because it just goes to show how dependent they were on this guy. And you know, the fact that they could not get a job to make money because of Arobyn, and that the only job that they were offered and had to take was taking on the biggest and baddest guys. They were just so desperate to get away that it just makes me so sad thinking about it again. So then they make the big plan, and Sam is going to go, you know, watch over the guy, and Selena is supposed to do something else, and she comes back and she waits for Sam at home, and he never shows up. And she's waiting, and she's waiting, and she's freaking out. I just could not take that scene. I was about to start crying even before we knew that he was dead. I was so torn apart. And then when Arobyn himself comes in, this guy who we have despised and who we have hated, the fact that he is the one who is breaking the news to her. And I hate him so much too, because you know, if it wasn't for him, none of this stuff would have happened in the first place. Then of course, she sees his body and she ends up going on this horrible revenge killing spree, trying to make up for, you know, him being killed and wanting to get revenge and kill the person responsible. So she goes in, and it's all a trap, and it's all set up by Arobyn. And then the king's guards come in, and Selena knows that she's not gonna make it. She meets the king, and he sentences her to life in Endovier. All of that just happened so quickly. Like, the entire story, we had been building up and building up and building up to this moment that we knew was coming, that we knew Sam was going to die. Yet, everything after that just happened so quickly, and I don't even know what to think of it, honestly. I just hate all of them. I hate the king, I hate Arobyn, I hate Farron, I hate everybody who had played a part in killing Sam and making Selena so sad. And now all I want to do after filming this book talk is just go and curl up with Crown of Midnight and jump back into this world so that I can know what happens and I won't be left on the edge of my seat, and I just wanna go back. Alright, and that's gonna be it for my book talk today. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me. I know that I only touched on a couple of the points rather than going through every single story chronologically what happened. Sorry if this was kind of all over the place, but bear with me, please. So if you liked this video, you can go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. If you want to follow me on social media, I am a-of-ash12 on Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads, so you can go say hi to me there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye!